All right, welcome back, Truth Seeker. It is Thursday, June 4th, 2020. As we go live in the headlines, the White House fortifying their perimeter, afraid of what might come next with the ongoing protests and rioting. And on this day in the headlines, we have another story of a police officer with his knee on the neck of a black man coming out of Florida. We have another story just like that out of Sacramento. A knee on an 18-year-old in Sacramento. Another story getting a lot of attention right now from March 3rd, 3-3. An I Can't Breathe story out of Tacoma, Washington, just south of Seattle. And a whole lot more. We got Drew Brees apologizing for his remarks yesterday about not protesting the national anthem. We got CNN mocking every inch of our existence with this headline right here that they just took down. U.S. billionaires have become 565 billion richer during the pandemic. And of course, there's Jeff Bezos on the couch. We said this was going to happen in March. We said this is what this is all about. This is all about shifting the wealth from working class people to the super rich to the technocrats. Essentially what that $565 billion is the money that's no longer in small business because they've all been forced to shut down. So everyone's going to the big box stores, to the online marketplace, and that's exactly how the money's being siphoned from the working middle class people to the super rich. This is a sick scam that's being done against us, and most people, they're not seeing it for what it is. So we're going to look at that headline and a whole lot more. There's a lot to talk about here. But let's just start right here with the billionaire headline. $565 billion. If you've been following me throughout the pandemic, those numbers should stand out in a huge way. 565. We talked about how Amazon would be the biggest beneficiary of what's happening. And remember, Amazon's headquartered in Seattle, where the first case of coronavirus was confirmed, where the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is, who's going to gain a lot in wealth from this entire ordeal. For people who don't know, ever since Bill Gates dropped out of the computer business and got into the vaccine business, his wealth has multiplied. So vaccines are big business. The guy went from computer viruses to human viruses. How's that happen? Remember, he comes from a family of bankers. It's his family history, a bunch of bankers. Anyhow, remember, coronavirus equals 56 and 70. Right now, the face of Amazon, Jeff Bezos, is 56 years old. His company, Amazon, has that gematria of 70. And don't forget the word pandemic equals 65. So when you look at that number, 565 billion more for billionaires, you should see the coronavirus and pandemic number in it. Mockery. We're going to talk about why they gave us this headline today. But notice the term billionaires. I noticed something new about billionaires today. It equals 82. Where are the world's two richest men in the world headquartered? Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos, who are going toe-to-toe, who are two men who probably stand to gain the most from this pandemic. Billionaires equals 82, like Seattle, the city they both call home. Seattle's 82, COVID-19's 82. Once upon a time, we predicted on March 22nd, several cities would go into lockdown, which was true. It's because it was the 82nd day of the year. It's also because it was 3/22. But the billionaires from Seattle, the biggest beneficiaries of the pandemic technocrat scam. And what's weird, what stood out to me about this article is they chose to measure from the date of March 18th. And I thought, why would they measure from March 18th? The pandemic was declared March 11th. So why measure from March 18th? So I started thinking about it for a second. I was like, okay, that's the 78th day of the year. And today's 78 days later. And what's 78? Oh, yeah, that's the Jesuit number. Like how Bill Gates is building all the Jesuit high schools. Like how the Jesuits are behind the coronavirus pandemic. Jeff Bezos doesn't let you know what his religious affiliation is, but within the Jesuits, you'll find people of all religious denominations, even though it serves the Catholic Church. Wouldn't be surprised if Bezos has a connection. And again, from the date that they chose to measure, March 18th to today, June 4th, the day of this article, 78 days later, Jesuit 78. Remember the Jesuit Anthony Fauci said that this pandemic would happen on January 10th, 2017. He said there'd be a surprise outbreak in pandemic during the time of the Trump administration. The pandemic was declared 78 days after his birthday. Jesuits in 78, big number. And Jeff Bezos has that January 12th birthday, 112, like how the Jesuits operate in 112 countries. Again, he's 56 years old right now. From his birthday to today's story, 144 days, Jesuit Order 144. I know we were just talking about this number yesterday, and we've been talking about it all the time with regards to the Jesuits. You could also say it's Jeff Bezos' 145th day of his age. It's 144 days after the birthday, or his 145th day of his age. Catholics 145. But what a sick headline, you know. This is why all this energy that exists right now, all these people who are so upset, outraged at what's going on, looking for a chance to get out all this negative energy, so they're out, you know, falling for the traps that have been set for them, looting, burning, destroying property. Instead of doing that, these people, they need a message, they need a leader. They need to be told what's really going on. All that energy needs to be directed at the enemy, which is big tech, which is Big Brother. You know, that's what needs to be brought down. Not the mall window so people can steal some jeans or get another flat screen TV or, you know, an overpriced purse. But some things really do need to come down, including big tech. So that's today, June 4th. I can't wait to see what they're going to do tomorrow, June 5th. Man, this headline, it seems like it would have been perfect for tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow they'll tell us billionaires are up $656 billion. Okay, so moving on. In Philadelphia yesterday. Philadelphia, they tore down the Frank Rizzo statue, the racist white cop. And why did they tear it down on June 3rd yesterday, 6-3? Well, again, Gematria. Frank Rizzo equals 63. Racism equals 63. So tearing down the Frank Rizzo statue, the racist cop, on 6-3, news by the numbers. Get its news by the numbers every single day. June 3rd in a leap year is also the 155th day of the year. He was a policeman 155. Down comes the racist cop on the most perfect day of the year in the perfectly staged ritual. I'm sure the same day they put up this statue, and I'm not exaggerating when I'm saying this, I'm sure that the same day that they put up this statue, they already had it written down what day they were going to take it down, June 3rd, 2020, because that's how scripted the events we're living out are. This stuff is scripted decades in advance. We're living out a master plan that was probably written a century ago. That's why they keep giving us all the Corona typewriter symbolism. Typewriters replaced by the computer. Corona typewriters folded the exact same day Bill Gates declared the richest man in the world, July 5th, 1995. Right after his mother died, who would have had her birthday that day. But that emphasized headline, it is finally gone. It has that gematria of 177 and 84 like the Jesuit order. It's weird how the Jesuit fingerprints are showing up on everything right now. Notice he became the police commissioner in 1968, that infamous year. Coronavirus was coined in 1968. Same year 911 was made the national emergency dialing code. Same year World Trade Center construction began, and a million more things. Chapter 2 of the book that's about to come out. It'll give you all you need to know about 1968. The year 2001, A Space Odyssey came out. The year about technology overtaking man, which is what's going on right now. And I also noticed, speaking of the Jesuits, that from his birthday to the day he died was 266 days later. There's another huge Jesuit number. Remember, right now we have the first publicly Jesuit Pope, Pope Francis, the 266th Pope. The Jesuit motto in Latin, IHS, stands for Isus Hominum Salvator, which equals 266. Also 122 like Pope Francis. Again, Pope Francis, the 266th Pope, the first Jesuit Pope. So what do you know? Jesuit fingerprints encoded in the headline. Jesuits behind everything going on right now with the coronavirus. And it looks like this guy was probably a tool of the Jesuits once upon a time, putting up a statue of a racist white man. Again, a Jesuit motto is divide and conquer, and that's what this agenda is all about. If you missed yesterday's work, we were talking about how Black Lives Matter looks like it is 100% Jesuit. By the way, Frank Rizzo, 144, Jesuit Order 144. Today, 144 days after Jeff Bezos' birthday, boasting about how he's the richest man, or becoming the richest man again because of what's taking place right now. By the way, Rizzo died in 1991. That was the year Rodney King was beaten on March 3rd, 3-3. To go back and look at that more carefully, could be a ritual there with that as well. So, racist white cops beat Rodney King. Rodney King riots on the 119th day of the year. George Floyd equals 119, like all-seeing eye, like fraternal order of police. Something tells me it's not an accident. All right, next up. Let me close these things as we move along here. Okay. So Drew Brees, yesterday, June 3rd, Drew Brees came out and he said, what happened with George Floyd's wrong, but let's not protest the national anthem and flag. That's separate. And then some people got on him and said, what do you mean? That flag represents, history's past, which is full of racism. And today, Drew Brees says, oh, you're right, I apologize. Then on his Instagram, he posted an image of a white hand and a black hand shaking hands. But look at this. Look at this ritual. Yesterday, June 3rd, the star of the New Orleans Saints. If you just said the singular, he's a New Orleans Saint, which equals 63. And what I forgot to post up here is just the word saint alone is also 63. So New Orleans Saint 63, Saint 63. So on 6-3, the face of the Saints gets all this attention for his remarks. And notice Drew Brees equals 99, racism 63 and 99, and his remarks came 99 days before the start of the NFL. My man who met me down in Louisiana is calling in right now, so I got to put him on the phone just because I'm sure he's got something for us. What's up, Cade?
Hey, Zach, I got you on speaker. Is it messed up? Or
it sounds fine. It sounds fine. What's up?
Okay. So I was looking at the NBA playoffs, and the proposed end date is October 12th. That is Columbus Day.
Right.
So I started digging into Christopher Columbus. He married into a family in the Knights Templar. He married, let's see, who did he marry? Her name is Filippo Moniz Perestrello. And she is of a family from the Knights of Santiago, who were part of the Knights Templar. And Christopher Columbus, when he married her, he received, I don't know if you'd call it a dowry, I don't know exactly the cultural synonymous word to it, but he received from her dad all of his maps of the Atlantic. But also, I think that there's going to be a Christopher Columbus ritual going on because I think it was May 31st. Does that make you a Gemini, your birth date?
May 31st. Yeah, I would. Yeah, well, I'm not. I have to double check. It's somewhere around Taurus, Gemini time, or
Because all sources show
it's a Gemini. Yeah, it is Gemini. Sorry.
They use the date May 31st for his birth, but a lot of times it says before May 31st. But they have to put a number to it. That's what they say it is. But also Christopher Columbus, his actual name is Cristobal Colon.
Right.
So I think that has some
with the storm right now. Yeah, indeed it does. And by the way, from the date they're resuming the NBA to October 12th is a span of 74 days, which ESPN was sure to highlight in their article for the 74th NBA season. So.
As far as 119 goes, what's 119? I've heard that recently.
Well, Vatican's 119, Francis is 119, All-Seeing Eyes 119, Orthodox is 119, Ashkenazi Jews is 119, Star of David 119, King James Bible 119. Those are some big ones.
Well, that the family she belonged to, the Knights, they were under King James, but her name equals 119, so I guess that makes a lot of sense.
Nice, yeah, good research, man. I'll have to look into that.
Yep, I'm gonna do a little more on it. It's a little preliminary. I just wanted to get in touch with you about it.
All right, thanks, kid.
Okay.
All right, see you, man. Okay. Yeah, that was interesting. I thought he was going to tell me something about Drew Brees. Okay, so again, from the day Drew Brees came out, whose name equals 99, who wears 9 in the NFL, to the start of the upcoming season is 99 days. Again, this stuff's not an accident. It's the ritual. Just like when Sean Payton came out with COVID-19, it was 82 days from his birthday. COVID-19's 82. Saints is 82. He was the first person in the NFL. He's 56 years old right now. Again, it's all ritual. So just remember, the word saint is 63, and I'll just show you real quick since I meant to put it up there. Just with the alphabetic order, our most simple cipher there is saint, 63. And it's also 36, and June 3rd can also be written 3-6, so no matter which way you write the date, it fits in. And with regards to him apologizing today, New Orleans Saints, the plural is 64, like how today can be written 6-4. June 3rd was exactly 20 weeks after his birthday. It's 2020. This relates to George Floyd with the counterfeit $20 bill. Don't forget that's Andrew Jackson on that bill, who died on June 8th, the 160th day of the year. Martial law equals 160. First president to declare martial law, Andrew Jackson. Today, 4 days before then, we have the White House fortifying its walls. Is that a sign that martial law is near? Mr. I want to build a wall, building bigger walls around the White House. By the way, Drew Christopher Brees, his full name equals 112, like Catholicism, like how the Jesuits operate in 112 countries. So, and this is what he posted. This was his apology picture. Nice, Drew. Drew Brees, he's the same kind of guy as Russell Wilson. He tries to act like he's just such a great guy, like he just cares so much about children and his fans. These guys just make me sick because they know they play in a rigged league. They throw the interceptions on command when they're told to, and then they're just the worst. Scum. These are the scum of the earth, these people. All right. Now, more knees on necks. So this was what I woke up to today. First headline I saw when I got up. Video captures police officer in Florida kneeling on a black man's neck during an arrest. Like, oh, really? They say this happened May 18th, which was actually a week before the George Floyd incident. But you might recall when George Floyd happened, we've done a lot of videos on George Floyd. We talked about how there's 4 states that have 38 Gematria: Minnesota, Louisiana, Florida, and Colorado. And Colorado is also the 38th state in order of statehood. But we talked about how they like to use these states for these rituals, especially that connect to death. So many of them come out of Florida. Trayvon Martin, case in point. A few years back, it was Philando Castile in Minnesota, Alton Sterling in Louisiana the same day. Again, these are the 4 states that have the 38 Gematria. So now we're back in Florida. Florida 38, Minnesota 38, George Floyd on 38th Street. Death, murder, killing, RIP, they all sum to 38. You run it forwards, murder's also 34, like Trayvon. Trayvon's 34 and 38. Again, Trayvon Martin. These stories have become, a lot more present ever since the Trayvon Martin story. Of course, Benjamin Crump, the lawyer for Trayvon Martin's family, also the lawyer for George Floyd's family. But the day of the George Floyd killing was also a date with 34 numerology. So murder, 34 forwards, 38 in reverse. 38th Street on the 34 date numerology again. That's why you want to know your ciphers forwards and backwards. Otherwise, you might miss some important details. The name of the man who got the knee on the back of the neck this time, his name's Patrick Carroll, and we'll look at the whole name, but let's just start with Patrick, which equals 33, like police, like Chauvin, who's the officer from Minnesota, like race war, like masonry, like federal, like secrecy, like order. And you can add to that list, Michael's 33, the officer who killed him is Darren Wilson, Darren 33. And again, there's a lot more than that. Tamir Rice in Cleveland 33 land. There's been a lot more. Sandy Bland, 33. But remember, the one part of the body that equals 33 is neck as well. So on the neck again. And this happened in Sarasota, Florida. Sarasota's 59. Patrick Carroll's 95, the reflection. Again, this is all, tying in with Eric Garner, whose family got the $5.9 million settlement, like how Black History Month ends on the 59th day of the year. Like how Motown came out in 59, like how Negro Slave, Rasta Blues are all 59. And there's supposed to be something up here that's not up there again. Guess I forgot to punch in some sides. I'm going to type in Sarasota, Florida real quick. So, Sarasota, Florida. You see how it's 60 and 102? 60 and 102. Police is 60 and 102, and the N-word is 60 and 102. And if you missed CNN's headline earlier today, they had this story up about Ahmaud Arbery, how he was hit by a truck and called the N-word just before he was killed. This comes 102 days after his supposed death. Don't forget the word slavery is also 102. So again, Sarasota, Florida, 6102, just like police and the N-word. And with today being June 4th and all these stories coming out about knees on necks, 6'4", remember asphyxiation 64, Eric Garner 64, 6'4", civil rights is 64, the Civil Rights Act was in 1964, Barack Hussein Obama's 64, he ran on Hope's 64. So perfect day, 6'4", to have these stories. Of course, asphyxiation and Eric Garner also 62, like Floyd 62, like Minneapolis is 62. This man, Patrick Carroll, his initials are PC. P's the 16th letter, C's the 3rd. 163, 163, the 38th prime. But 16 and 3 is a lot like 163, asphyxiation 163, cigarettes 163. Again, Eric Garner was illegally selling cigarettes was the story. With George Floyd, it's that he bought a pack of cigarettes with a counterfeit $20 bill. And I know when that story first came out, it was a forged check. So the details of the story changed, which they so often do. But this story is also coming out on June 4th, which can be written 4-6, like 46. George Floyd was 46 years old. He has the tattoo on his chest, the double-headed eagle with the order out of chaos, or in Latin, ordo ab chao, which is 46, like chaos is 46. And, just looking at the Gematria Patrick Carroll's name, there's a number of things that are interesting in here. It's got that 78 Jesuit number, that 79 Society of Jesus number. It's got the 34, like how what just happened to George Floyd was on the 34 date numerology, like how Trayvon's 34. It's got the 47 in there, the signature number, cops 47, policeman 47, government 47, authority 47, news 47, 47 degrees on the Masonic compass. It's got the 221, the Bavarian Illuminati number, which was founded by the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt. Of course, it's got the 33. And they're saying this happened May 18th, which in a leap year is the 139th day of the year. 139 is also the 34th prime, like Carol. But Freemasonry is 139. The word free is 34. 139, the 34th prime. Freemasonry also 59, like Sarasota. So, the main thing really is the 33 ritual. Again, just coming on the back of George Floyd. Florida again. Sarasota with the 59 connection, just like how George Floyd died 59 days from the Minneapolis mayor's upcoming birthday, who happens to be 38 years old at the time of his death on 38th Street. I gotta go back and plug in that Sarasota, Florida thing. Okay, and then another story today. This one's from March 3rd, 3-3. Supposedly this happened March 3rd, but it's big today in the news. Another man who said, "I can't breathe," died in custody. An autopsy calls it homicide. Manuel Ellis. And, again, in the news, June 4th, Eric Garner, 64. That's where the "I can't breathe" phrase comes from. Asphyxiation, 64. And this happened on 3-3. Eric Garner happened in New York. New York's 33. But look at it. Manuel, 33. Ellis, 33. Both parts of his name, 33. Just like LeBron's 33, James is 33. He started the hoodie movement after the death of Trayvon Martin. By the way, hoodie equals 38. But again, Manuel 33, Ellis 33, Race War 33, Police, Federal, Masonry, Secrecy, Order, they're all 33. His name, Manuel Ellis, is also 42. This one comes out of Washington State, the 42nd state in order of statehood. You know the long list of 42s. Jackie equals 42, the N-word 42, slavery 42, Tuskegee 42, Martin 42, Malcolm X 42, Muhammad Ali 42, LeBron James 42. We've talked about all these stories that have come out in recent days about the killings of other black men at the George Floyd protest with all the 42 names. It's amazing. It's just like, it's so overwhelming right now. I can't even remember what I just decoded 2 days ago and presented because it just keeps coming, just piling on. And it's just sick. It's the same thing that we've been exposing for years. You know, these same rituals for over 100 years. The first black baseball player to play in white major league. A lot of people think it's Jackie Robinson who wore 42 and the name Jack equals 42, but really it's Moses Walker whose name equals 42 and who played in exactly 42 games. Motown Records came out on the 42nd parallel. Rodney King, whose name equals 59 like Negro, had a 4-2 birthday and who was beaten on March 3rd, 3-3, just like how this guy supposedly couldn't breathe on 3-3, like how Trayvon Martin was buried on 3-3, whose initials are TM. T's the 20th letter, M's the 13th. Add his initials together, it's 33. Of course, his dad was a Mason, Masonry 33. And we always talk about how they bring the 33 and 74 together. I can't breathe, 74. March 3rd, 3-3. Remember, just with the alphabetic order, Jesus, cross, Messiah, gospel, parables. They all equal 74. Jesus on the cross at 33. Look in your history book. George Washington had 74 generals. 33 of them were Masons. Look at your 50 states. Only one sums to 74. Oregon, the 33rd state. So on and so forth. They like to bring these numbers together. 74, 33. Breonna Taylor. Her name equals 74. If you just look at the Breonna part, it's 33. And from the recent killing at the George Floyd protest, going back to her death, is a span of 74 days. Those are both Louisville killings. The town of Muhammad Ali, Muhammad 74, died at age 74, as we predicted he would, and sadly were right about in 2014, 2 years before his death. Again, same repetitive numbers again and again. Can't emphasize it enough. At one point, Ellis can be heard saying, "I can't breathe." There's a 12-minute recording out there, they say, of this. Attorney James Bible, who is representing the Ellis family. Okay, I got to show you what's funny about the name James Bible. I don't know why I skipped over that before. Talk about King James. But look at this. James is 33 in the same cipher that Manuel and Ellis are, and guess what Bible equals in that cipher? I'll give you 5 seconds to think about it. What do you think it's going to equal when I type it in? Bible. 33. So Manuel Ellis, again, in that same cipher, that's where Ellis is 33, Manuel's 33, LeBron's 33 in that cipher. James Bible, I mean, is that real? Has anybody ever met a person in their entire life who has the last name Bible? I mean, seriously? I'm sure there is somebody out there, but James Bible representing Manuel Ellis from 3-3. I think a lot of these people are like made for TV characters. Okay. I gotta go back and add that in too. So another story today, Sacramento police investigating neck restraint use on 18-year-old. And the name of the victim here is Tyzon Johnson, 18, right? And of course, if you read my book, I purposely made the 18th chapter about the contrived race war because it is another number that they use because the word race is 18. But notice this one's coming out of Sacramento. Sacramento 62, like Minneapolis 62, like Floyd 62, like Officer 62, like Riot 62. Like how once again, with a bunch of stories like this, they're clearly trying to, work up that emotional level. All they needed to deploy are their policemen and their, dressed up in black military and police and their paid for henchmen to go break some more windows and set some more things on fire to try and get the rest of the populace to become part of that energy. But again, race is 18. His name Tyzon, 108, and also 18 in our base ciphers. Sacramento, California also has Gematria of 89 like chaos. Chaos also 46. This news coming on June 4th, 4/6. And we've talked about this for years, theming the news, giving you a story that seems kind of out there, bizarre, different, and then all of a sudden they report a bunch of stories like that. All of a sudden planes start crashing and disappearing, can't find the plane. All of a sudden, officers are just killing more black people for no reason than normal. All of a sudden, officers are putting their knees on necks more than normal. Themed news. All of a sudden, there's way more school shootings than normal, just how it happens. They got to keep hitting you with the story until it sinks into your brain. Programming. Okay. And I mean, seriously, you don't think like every police department right now is getting lectured at this time? Like, okay, we're going to be a little bit more, we're definitely not putting the knees on necks right now. All right, so another story. 77-year-old retired police David Dorn killed in St. Louis during George Floyd rioting June 2nd, 2020. 6'2", 2'6". But look at this. Remember, they said George Floyd lived in the area of Minneapolis known as St. Louis Park. St. Louis next to Ferguson, Missouri. Michael Brown killed in Ferguson in 2014, the same year as Eric Garner. They got the family of George Floyd has the same lawyer, Benjamin Crump, who represented Michael Brown's family, as well as Trayvon Martin and Tamir Rice. I don't think he represented Eric Garner's family. I'd have to double check that. But caller pointed this one out to us last night. The murdered by a looter headline, which equals 201. And if you guys haven't, if this is the first time you've ever watched one of my videos, you might be like, what's 201? I encourage you to get caught up on all the videos we've been doing on 201 going back to February. 201 is the number to know right now. Big number of the Jesuits, big number of the coronavirus outbreak and the planned outbreak, the Event 201 coronavirus outbreak simulation. But the Jesuit order equals 201 and 84, just like what's emphasized here. And there's been all these 201s with George Floyd. George Perry Floyd equals 201 and a million more things. A lot of the people who've died and been in the headlines in recent days have the 201 connection. But this was retired St. Louis Police Captain David Dorn. And they said he was 77 years old. They mentioned in the article how he had spent 38 years with the St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department. And he was killed by a looter on Martin Luther King Drive. Now, notice Looter's 77, so is Secret Society, so is United States. The nation's capital's on the 77th meridian. MLK was a member of the Boule, a secret society. Martin Luther King Jr. equals 93. George Floyd was killed on the 93rd meridian west in Minneapolis, Minnesota, a town name that equals 93. And, you know what else equals 77? Police officer. I don't know why I don't have that up here. Police officer and police department both equal 77 in the most pure cipher. So, former police officer dead at 77. And his name, David Dorn, has the Gematria 46, like order out of chaos in Latin, like sacrifice, like how George Floyd was 46 years old. His initials, DD. D's the fourth letter, DD, 44. Remember, the officer who reportedly killed George Floyd is Derek Chauvin, 44 years old. Officer equals 44, kill 44. Minneapolis on the 44th parallel north. Shooting 44. And this happened again on June 2nd, 6-2. Date the mirror 6-2 or 2-6. Minneapolis 62, Floyd 26. What do you know? Okay. Also in the news today, new details about the death of Ahmaud Arbery, who was reportedly hit by a truck before he was killed, and then also called the N-word. And again, just like how his entire story was by the numbers. Just to remind people, the video of his killing came out on May 5th, 5-5. Video equals 55. His name, Ahmaud Arbery, equals 72, like Jesuit order. The video came out 72 days after the February 23rd killing. And then on May 7th, they arrested the father and son who reportedly killed him. That was 74 days after the incident. Killing 74, Masonic 74. Again, number we've been talking about a lot. And now we get this new detail. The video showed that he was called the N-word just before he was killed, and it comes 102 days after the incident, and the N-word's 102 like slavery. Don't forget the American Civil War began April 12th, 1861, the 102nd day of the year. And by the way, the name Arbery also equals 33, like race war, like masonry, like secrecy, like order. 3374, they arrest the killers 74 days after the incident. Masonic and Jewish Gematria equals 223, like how the killing was February 23rd, which is the 54th day of the year, now that I think about it. Jesuit orders 54 forward, 72 in reverse. He's talked about the Black Pope of the Jesuits. That doesn't mean he was black, that's just what they call the Pope of the Jesuits. Adolfo Nicholas, who just died, his name's 5472, like Jesuit order. So, again, that's why you got to know the ciphers forwards and backwards, and that's why pretty much everything coming through the headlines right now has the Jesuit stamp on it. Okay, so we covered this last night in the radio show, but maybe you didn't see it. Yesterday, it came out that George Floyd's autopsy revealed he had coronavirus. Again, just comical. They showed the picture of him in the nightclub where he worked with Derek Chauvin, posed next to the Corona beer bottle. That was days ago. Now on the 155th day of the year, he has coronavirus, and coronavirus equals 155. Don't forget the Cladex pandemic simulation of May 15th, 15/5, exactly 666 days before the pandemic was declared. That's put on by Johns Hopkins University, a Skull and Bones founded university who's been giving us all the stats for coronavirus. So, what a perfect day for George Floyd to have coronavirus. And, we told you right from the beginning that all this was part of the ritual, part of the PSYOP. And just like we told you months ago, in the Event 201 coronavirus outbreak simulation, they say that places reopen too soon, and then the pandemic spreads a lot further, and it really attacks poor communities, which usually means communities of color. And, I mean, you look at pretty much all the viral agendas that are, I guess even going beyond viruses, you can even look at vaccines. From viruses to vaccines, these things that hit humanity, they always seem to hit darker complected people worse. And I don't think that's a coincidence. You see Bill Gates, Mr. Virus, running all of his experimentation over in Africa. But this is going to be used as an excuse for why the pandemic went further. And just wait until the headlines start coming in the days and weeks and months ahead that, people are dying more rapidly in black communities because of the rioting and protesting. This was all pretty much part of the simulation. So, and then that's what they're going to want. They're going to want, all this panic and fear targeted, especially at poor communities. They're going to want people to rush out and get the vaccines, and they'll probably get the cloudy vaccines that are more likely to cause whatever their demonic plan is. So, okay. Kathy asked if I could look into the Duluth, Minnesota lynchings of 1920, which happened on June 15th. And here's the image that was put out in the media of that. I didn't count. There must be about 40 or 50 white guys around 3 dead black bodies. Pretty sick stuff. But, again, Duluth's in Minnesota. That's Bob Dylan's hometown. And we're coming up on the 100-year anniversary, which means that the George Floyd killing was about 99 years and 11 months before the anniversary. There's that 99 again. All the 99s. Again, Garner 99, Racism 99, Cup Foods 99, AutoZone 99, and the 99-year anniversary of the Tulsa race riots. That reminds me that somebody asked me to look into the 1919 race riots, which I hadn't heard of, but I'll do that next one. So, what I noticed looking back is even in the Wikipedia it shows that this happened on the 46th parallel north, right? Like George Floyd's 46 years old, and it happened on June 15th, the day leaving 199 days left in the year. That's the 46th prime, and the 3 men who got lynched were Elias Clayton, whose name equals 46, The other names were Elmer Jackson and Isaac McGee. Jackson is 19, like the word Lynch, also like the name Floyd, and Isaac is 33. But I noticed that Lynch and Floyd are the exact same in all four base ciphers. And I'm thinking, that's interesting. This is happening in Minnesota near the 100-year anniversary of these infamous lynchings in Duluth, Minnesota. The name Elias Clayton is 46 forward, 71 in reverse. If you watch the first video I did on George Floyd, we talked about quite a few 71s. The video went viral on a 71 date numerology. And the name Crump 71, the lawyer, African American 71, police brutality 71. But Elias Clayton 71, like Duluth lynching 71. So this was probably the same type of news by the numbers, order out of chaos, divisive propaganda back then. And June 15th, 1920 was a date with 60 numerology. Remember, the most recent killing of George Floyd happened on the Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar's 60th birthday. The N-word equals 60 the big way, 42 the small way. The days after that, the story came out that she could have prosecuted Derek Chauvin for killing a 42-year-old black man in 2006, but she decided not to. So they're saying, Amy Klobuchar could have stopped this back in 2006. And now they're saying she's out as a VP nominee. She was never going to be the one. She's about as boring as Al Gore, but anyway. 60 date numerology. Again, police, order, the N-word, they're all 60. It was also a date with a life lesson number of 33 that happened. Again, race war 33, Chauvin, police, federal, masonry, secrecy, order, they're all 33. Again, one of the men lynched was Isaac, a name that equals 33 as well. And I also noticed that Duluth equals 76, like Negro, Slave, Rasta, Blues, all 76, like how the Million Man March was on the day, leaving 76 days left in the year, like how Acts 7:6 in the Bible is the prophecy of being mistreated in a foreign land for 400 years, which should have expired in August of 2019, but like I said, don't expect mistreatment of black people to end after 400 years, but I said, do expect the next verse to happen, Acts 7:7, because it says that nation will be punished, which is why I said in September of 2018 that after August of 2019, we'll see the next 9/11 right around that time, and we're living it out right now. All of this stuff is part of a massive ritual. Coronavirus, being instigated by all of these racial psyops that's coming to an head, the protesting, the rioting, the White House building a new wall around their structure today. Again, won't be shocked at all if on Monday they declare martial law, especially now with the White House building a wall with Trump in it today. The writing's on the wall. So, again, the Jesuits, who seem to be behind all of this, who used to have their, they had their, you could say, North American headquarters in what's now known as Washington, D.C., which was once the Catholic colony policed by the Jesuits, but they're originally established in Paris, France, and they announced today that in France, they're canceling their Bastille Day parade that they have every year. And notice Bastille Day, 70 like coronavirus. Paris, France, 56 like Society of Jesus. That's the Jesuits who were established in Paris, France. And then when you run coronavirus forwards, it's 56. Again, like where we started. Jeff Bezos is 56 years old. His company Amazon equals 70. Why we said back in February or March, whenever we said it, Amazon will be the biggest beneficiary of this planned big tech, big brother psyop. Bastille Day, Paris, France, and Society of Jesus also all equal 187, just like Washington, D.C. is 187. And again, these are Jesuit cities. Arsenic poisoning's 187, the Jesuits' favorite way to kill people, 187, the homicide code. Okay. And then for some humor, let's look at ESPN's article about the return of the 74th NBA season. I'm just going to scroll down to my favorite part of their article so I can just read in their own words. How long will this take to play out? Game 7 of the NBA Finals would be no later than Monday, October 12th, Christopher Columbus Day, Catholics. And then they write, with the season set to start on July 31st, that means the remainder of the season at most would be completed in no more than 74 days. Again, the same numbers, again and again and again, and then the 74th NBA season, they had to tell you this, and remember, it's finishing the season at this Walt Disney-owned sports complex in Orlando, Florida. It's where every last game's going to be played because no one's going to be attending. It's just going to be a huge basketball facility with all these games going on that'll be televised. But the name of that complex equals 373, the 74th prime. And remember, they suspended the season on the 142nd day of the season. Coronavirus equals 142. And now they're resuming the season 142 days later. And I won't be super redundant. I just made a 15, 20-minute video the other day about why the NBA is returning on July 31st and how it's all synced up with LeBron and how the NBA's advertising campaign this year is about the... Here, I'll just show you something real funny real quick. This year, the NBA's advertising campaign is about area codes. I think if I type in NBA area codes, it should pull it up. Okay, see how it's called The Codes We Live By, and it's sponsored by AT&T, the same people that gave us the 911 National Emergency Dialing Code in 1968, the year World Trade Center construction began. But the codes we live by for the 74th NBA season, the codes we live by, and the most pure cipher is 74. It's also 79, like Orlando's 79, where the season's finished, like Society of Jesus is 79. But again, the advertising campaign this year is about area codes, and the season's going to resume on the 213th day of the year, 213. That's the LA area code. And it will resume on LeBron's 215th day of his age. That's the Philadelphia area code. And in the advertisement, you'll see that they're sure to talk about the 213 and 215 area codes. And with regards to LA and Philly, that's Kobe Bryant, who's from Philly, who died in LA the day after LeBron passed Kobe in points scored all time in his one game of the season in Philadelphia in a perfectly scripted ritual. So, and again, Kobe equals 33, 73-74, like how they bring it together again and again. But look at what else they just mentioned in the beginning of the article. Again, just throwing numbers at you like you're dumb. This is the beginning of ESPN's article. The NBA has announced its return 85 days after suspending the season because of the coronavirus pandemic. So the announcement is 85 days later. The season will resume 142 days after the suspension. But 85 days, and then it says, on Thursday, the NBA's Board of Governors overwhelmingly approved a proposal for 22 teams to return to play. There's 30 teams in the NBA. The National Basketball Association equals 113. That's the 30th prime, like how the league was suspended on 113 March 11th, the day the pandemic was declared, which is the 71st day of the year in Catholic 71. Remember, it was the 7'1" Rudy Gobert who came down with the virus. But 85 days, 22 teams, basketball with the alphabetic order, 85. Basketball with the rules and numerology, 22. First March Madness in 1985. So, there's a psalm in the King James Bible. It's the most infamous psalm, Psalm 46. And it's only in the King James Bible is it worded this way. But the 46th word from the front is shake, and the 46th word from the back is spear. Shakespeare, and a lot of people say that King James, his right-hand man, Francis Bacon, who edited the Bible for him, was also Shakespeare, which would make sense because when you read the King James Bible, it seems like Shakespeare wrote it. But if it's all about him this year and he did win the finals, that would be his NBA Finals record. He'd be 4-6 in finals. And from today to the resume date of the NBA is 57 days, and NBA Finals is 57. If you counted the span of days, it would be 58, like Los Angeles Lakers is 58, like how the real King James died at age 58. Biblical's 58, Freemasonry's 58, Rosicrucian's 58. King James was a Freemason and Rosicrucian. And somebody asked if I could look into this. I didn't hear about this story. It happened on May 15th. Houston's Princess Maria Galitzine dies unexpectedly at age 31. Well, here in the U.S., Houston, I always call Houston the 31 city. It always shows up with their sports teams. But look at this. So she died in Houston at 31. Houston equals 31, and she died May 4th. Her new name, because she's married, is Maria Singh, which equals 54. And she died on May 4th, 5-4. So Maria Singh, 54, dead on 5-4. Dead at 31 unexpectedly in Houston. Houston 31. And she was buried May 8th. Secret Society 58. Her birth name, Princess Maria Galitzine, equals 139. Freemasonry's 139 and 58. She's buried on 5-8. That name Princess Maria Galitzine also equals 113, like Princess is 113, big number in Princess Diana's death, which is synced up with the Queen, which you can read about in my first book. A lot of other celebrity deaths. Again, there's that song, Murder by Numbers. Killings as simple as A, B, C, 1, 2, 3 by the Police. Came out in 1983 because murder equals 83, like how the police cruiser down on the corner shown in the George Floyd videos number 830. And got to share this as well. My mom, she's been carrying this around. She has this printed out, and she's barging into stores like Costco where masks are required, and she's showing them this exact piece of paper, and they're just letting her walk in without a mask because they don't want to deal with this $75,000 fine. So if you're tired of wearing your mask and there's places you have to go where they're telling you got to wear a mask, print out this notice right here. Turns out there's some laws that protect us from having to wear masks. So you can come to this site, gematriaeffect.news, search HIPAA, HIPAA, it'll pull up this thing. Just save the image and print it. That's it. My mom has this printed in black and white. Or did you print it in color? She printed hers in color, actually. I'm sure it'll be just fine if you print it in black and white. But she just carried it around in her purse. She says, I'm not putting any mask on, read this. So, thought I'd share that with you. We call her Dr. Donna. So, all right. I think that's all I had to say. And, yeah, Trump's finally getting his wall around the White House. All right, Truth Seeker. Let me say thank you to the super chatters. I see one from Blue Ice. Thank you very much. He said, made a Gematria poster, and Masons looked at me. And then another Blue Ice super chat. He says, I have vids of Masons in protest and the numbers. And Eyes to See says, thanks for your hard work and tireless efforts. Well, you're very welcome. And thank you everyone who tuned in. If you guys could all hit the like button and share it, help this find some more people, that would be great.